Each year, people go missing around forests and national parks all across North America. Some are found alive, some are found dead, and some are never found at all. I'm following these missing 411 cases that a former police officer named David Paulides has been investigating for over a decade now. And these cases are so perplexing and fascinating that I can't help but not to bring awareness to what is happening in the forest and these national parks. I want as many people to be aware of this phenomena as much as possible because it is really eerie. The one distinct thing that David covers in these 411 cases is that they seem to follow a particular pattern in a checklist. Some of the patterns of the missing 411 victims are memory loss, the fact that they're child victims, most of them, missing clothes or clothes folded up nice and neatly around the site where they went missing or died, elevation changes where bodies were located that was basically impossible for them to get to, or just weird that they went to that particular location, no scent trails, and the most obvious one on the checklist is that they are found in national parks and forests. Now, if you want to check out David Paulides' YouTube channel, I will have a link down in the description below. And he lists all the cases that he has been investigating over the years. It is very, very fascinating. Very fascinating. It got my attention, that's for sure, especially after watching the documentaries. Hello and welcome back, or welcome to my channel. If you don't know what's going on here, I am a horror artist and I like to draw what I talk about in the videos. I love anything supernatural, paranormal, alien conspiracy, true crime, scary facts and scary stories, and I love to draw. So I combine the two of them to hopefully bring you a very unique experience when it comes to both these genres. So if this is something that you might be interested in, you might have found the right channel for you. So stick around, have a look and see if you like it. Now, nothing in these videos is meant to be insensitive to the victims or the victims' families. I will be held accountable for my art, but if you are a sensitive person, I recommend turning off and not watching anything on my channel. You have been warned, so I don't want to hear any whinging in the comment section. Now, with that being said, let's get on with the video. Today I'm going to talk about the case of Jared Atadero. Now, this case is a parent's worst nightmare. Now, I don't personally have kids myself, but I can only imagine the heartache with this. Jared was a 3-year-old boy that disappeared on the 2nd of October 1999 on the Big South Trail in Colorado. The day he disappeared, he and his sister, 6-year-old Jocelyn, went on a hike with 11 adults on the Big South Trail. His father, Alan, and the two of them stayed at the Poudreau River Resort, which he co-owned with his brother. Alan loved being there because he said in his own words that he loved the trees. They were absolutely beautiful. A Christian social group was staying at the lodge, helping Alan prepare for the winter in exchange for staying there for free. On the 2nd of October 1999, the group decided that they wanted to go to the trout farm, a fishery about roughly 4 kilometers from the resort. Alan's daughter Jocelyn wanted to go, so he let her because she was 6 years old and he knew a few of the group members quite well, so he trusted that they would look after her. But then Jared saw that Jocelyn was going and then he wanted to go as well. So Alan put shoes on Jared, which he absolutely hated, and he also hated his shoes being tied as well. But this was the only way that Jared was allowed to go, as if he wore some shoes. Now, he had permitted the group to take Jared to the trout farm, but the group decided to go on a hike on the Big South Trail, and they did not let Alan know that this was going to happen. The Big South Trail is not for the faint-hearted, and if you weren't a fit person, the trail would take it out of you. So the group was walking on the trail, and Jared ended up running ahead of the group, and apparently 2 fishermen saw him about 11:30 a.m. and Jared stopped to talk to them, and he asked the fishermen had they seen any bears, in which they replied, no, we haven't seen any bears, and then Jared just wandered off. The 2 fishermen were the last ones to see Jared alive. At around 12 noon, the group realised that Jared was missing and all of them go off to search for him. They spend about an hour trying to find him before some of the group went back to the resort to inform Alan, in which he came down to the trail and started searching as well. Some of the members of the group recall hearing a scream, and Jocelyn also said she heard the scream as well, but they all thought it was a playful scream like someone was playing tag with Jared. Alan returned to the resort at around 4 p.m. to ring the authorities to inform them that his son was missing. A search party was deployed on the Big South Trail and searched for most of the night, and a helicopter was being deployed in the morning to cover the ground from the sky. Also, a dive team was deployed for the Big South River. On the 3rd of October 1999, the searching continued, but the search helicopter ended up suffering from a stalling out problem and fell 100 feet out of the sky and crashed up on the Big South Trail. Luckily, no one died in the crash, but 2 crew members suffered significant injuries. The search continued into day 3 with another helicopter and planes joining the search to find the 3-year-old, but nothing turned up. For 2 months after Jared's disappearance, over 200 trained searchers, dogs, trackers, dive teams, and air searchers continued their search for Jared. On the 8th of November 1999, the search for Jared was called off due to a lack of leads and evidence. Then nearly 4 years passed since Jared's disappearance when on the 5th of June 2003, hikers Rob Osborne and Gareth Watts picked Poudreau Canyon to explore, as they liked to try and pick different places to experience different locations to hike at. They hit the Big South Trail and decided to scale up off the track. They got to a ledge at 550 feet off the Big South Trail, and this is where they saw a jumper of a child, pants turned inside out, and 2 pairs of child running shoes. They took photos and contacted the authorities. It was later identified as Jared's clothing when the investigators were called in to comb the area, and they found a tooth and cranium near the same area. Now, this is where the case gets a little weird. Now, Jared's pants and jumper were tattered from the 4 years of harsh weather, but his running shoes were not a day over from when he left his dad on that fateful day. The shoes had no signs of 4 years of harsh winter weather. Also, Jared's tooth and cranium were located at 9,120 feet elevation, which is, as I said before, was 550 feet from the track upwards, and was very difficult for adults to hike up to that spot, so a 3-year-old would never have been able to do it, especially with his shoes intact, and they weren't tied, so they wouldn't have even made it up the mountain. His shoes also had no scuff marks on them from walking on the rocks and up the mountain. His clothing were tested and no DNA was found. There was no blood, but there was a hair found on his collar, but I will get to that a little bit later. Now, theories were flung around that a mountain lion took him, or some sort of animal had carried him up there, as a human would have struggled to carry a 3-year-old up to the location as well, because apparently you have to basically be on all fours to climb up that mountain to get to that location. Now, one theory is that a mountain lion took him to the location and mauled and ate him, but this is plausible due to the pants deterioration, which was later found out a bird was making a nest on the pants, so that's why it's all deteriorated on one side. But there was no blood found on the clothes or in the area where the clothes were found. The remains also don't line up with a mountain lion attack. It also is the same for black bears, which are also found in the area. So apparently mountain lions go for the stomach area, and the jumper and the top of the pants were intact. So this is another reason why the mountain lion experts don't think a lion attacked Jared. The second theory is that someone abducted and took him up to that mountain part and murdered him. Like I said before, this would have been difficult for someone to carry Jared up there, but animals don't take pants off and turn them inside out unless Jared took them off or the abductor took them off. Maybe it was one or more of the Christian group members, or maybe it was one or both of the fishermen that did it. Because it is a little bit strange that the fishermen didn't hold Jared and just let him run off. So that's a little bit strange, because if you saw a kid on their own walking a trail that is so remote and so long and in the middle of the forest, I'm pretty sure you would keep an eye on him and you would make sure that he is safe. It also goes for the Christian group members as well. They shouldn't have let him run off either. So the third theory is that it was a police cover-up. The police did know who did it, but maybe they were covering it up for some reason. This theory is wild, but I did read that the helicopter may have found him, took his clothes off as they may have been wet, tried to keep him warm, but the helicopter crashed, killing him, so they hid the evidence for some reason. The evidence of Jared's cranium and tooth may have been planted there just like his clothes, and maybe the shoes were dropped off later towards when the hikers found them. They did apparently find hairs on the collar of his jumper that came back as non-human, but it was not a mountain lion, so they should be telling us what it came back as. I don't know what the big deal is with the secret of this hair unless this hair cannot be identified for some reason. And now this leads me to the fourth theory, that the non-human hairs couldn't be identified and maybe not from this earth, and they refused to tell anyone, especially his father, because they are extraterrestrial in nature. There is a lot of vast remote land out there, and anything can be hiding in the woods, and if it's supernatural in origin, this would explain the non-detection. And Jared's case is eerily similar to a lot of the missing 411 cases, as you will see as I get into them. It's a pattern for someone or something to follow that they do to the people that go missing. To this day, people still say that the police work was sloppy, suspect, and they stopped a lot of searches from continuing, and they just won't reveal things from the case to Jared's own father. Let me know what your thoughts are on this particular case. Do you think that this is a straight down the line human abductor, or do you think it's something paranormal, or do you think an animal did this? Let me know. I'll be curious to know what you think about this, because it is just very, very, very strange what goes on in these national parks and forests. Now, the illustration that I decided to do for this video today was of a boy that is representing Jared, and these things that are coming out from behind him represent the thing that took him up to that location, and I just represented it by these creepy, I do a lot of these drawings where these things coming out from the backs of people. It just represents a dark force that played a part in the disappearance and the killing of the people that I draw about. So yeah, it's just devastating that these things just don't keep on getting investigated. I'm so happy that David Paulides is doing what he can to bring awareness to these cases, because we need to know what's going on, and I think further investigation into what's going on out in these forests and that they need to be checked. They need to know what's going on, and I personally think that they kind of know what's going on, and that's why they brush it apart, like they just push it aside, because I don't think they can do anything about it, because I personally do think it is something supernatural in nature, and that's just me, because I do believe that there's a lot of weird shit in this world, and yeah, we haven't even begun to understand it. Hopefully you enjoyed this video today. Hopefully you stick around and watch whatever is left. of this video. And if you like this kind of content, like and subscribe. Dislike it, I couldn't care less, because it all goes towards the algorithm for other people to try and find me. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.